Riveting content. Empowering your life. Welcome to The Sphere. This episode is sponsored by Houston Housewives of Finance. For more information on increasing your cash flow, becoming your own money manager, and to schedule your complimentary personal finance strategy, contact the Houston Housewives of Finance today at 1-844-700-4463. Looking to advertise? Join the Sphere's vast demographic reach of thousands of people all over the world. Send an email today to advertise@thesphere.tv or call us at area code 832-772-7789. Elite Dental Wellness. At Elite Dental Wellness, Dr. Ashandra Batiste understands that one of the biggest obstacles is dental fear. The vision at Elite Dental Wellness is to ensure every patient is treated with respect, ultimate care, patience, and love. Call us today to make an appointment at area code 713-789-8680.
Hi, welcome back to InJustice on the Sphere TV. My name is Alicia Ford, your host, and you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at AllionSphere. I want to welcome you back for another wonderful show this week. And also, we are unfortunately missing my regular co-host, Brennan. I was like, but his last name is Dunn. Yes, Brennan Dunn. Yeah. But we do have somebody else in the studio that we've had many a time before, right? Let's just go ahead and pan to him real quick. Who do we have today? Because I don't have anybody to ask.
I'm Damon Parrish, not Brennan Dunn.
Yeah.
I'm Damon this time.
Good.
Dunn. Thank you. Brennan Dunn is his name. Brennan Paul Dunn.
So you know it's identity theft going on right here. It's been you don't have to do all that.
Bad credit.
Oh no, let's stop and get to what we're talking about. So. All right. So there's a lot going on in legal news, right?
Yes.
So I'm thinking the first big ticket item is DACA.
DACA?
Yes. Okay.
DACA.
And deferred action for child arrivals, for people that do not know, that is actually what the DACA stands for, DACA as you know it. And what it was, and for some people, to give you just a little bit of a background, it was an executive order from President Obama, which basically stated that if you are a child arrival and your parents brought you over into the country illegally, basically, then because you had no ability to say yay or nay as to getting here, you were given not a per se citizen status, but the ability to be here lawfully. And so what that did was that it allowed children basically to go to school, to get a job, to get a driver's license, to participate in the everyday parts of our society without having fear that, I might be deported. And so, for example, they could not have any felonies, and every 2 years they had to pay $500 to renew their basically their enrollment in DACA. And so what it happened was, everybody got excited because that makes sense. These children do not know any other home but America, because generally they came over so young
they were babies.
They had no idea.
Some kids were literally came over as newborns.
Exactly.
They don't even speak the language where they're supposedly going to get sent back to.
Exactly.
They don't know the culture.
You don't know who knows if they even have family there anymore.
And if they do, you can have family someplace and
not
really
be family. Exactly.
You can
exactly.
To have some full-grown adult come live on your sofa.
Yeah.
Because you used to be in America.
Exactly.
And you don't speak the language. You can't produce.
So as part of his anti-America campaign,
his MAGA,
his Making America Great Again.
Right.
President, I was going to say I forgot his name for a second. President Trump decided that he was going to eliminate the program via his spokesperson, Attorney General Jeff Sessions. and he was going to give them a 6-month grace period to basically, or for Congress to develop some new type of law that would in essence replace what DACA did. And I don't know that sounds like it's actually going to happen because we can't get Congress to do anything.
And I don't think it was ever meant to happen. I think a lot of times they want to keep a class of citizens, a second class of citizens. Illegal immigrants, no matter what you want to call them, are treated as a second class of citizens. They do jobs most of us don't want to do. They do it for pay we don't want to accept.
Exactly.
And they know it, and we know it. They get taken advantage of. They're one of the most disenfranchised groups in this country, and you have to keep it coming.
Yeah.
Right? And the economy, for a while when it sucked, we saw a wave of people leaving the country. So you saw less illegal immigration.
Well,
and now you have to.
And
have
now
that
I think about it is you can't sit here and push making America great again via your whole platform of immigration by picking on those that have the most to lose that did nothing. I mean, if anything, you know what cracked down on these visa overstays. Y'all know when these visas expired. Y'all know they were supposed to tell you where they were going, so go find them. I mean, if anything, those are the people that you really need, because as we know that most of the legal immigration isn't border walls, isn't coming over on a boat. They're visa overstays. I was supposed to be here for 6 months. I've been here for 6 years. Right. And so it's just sad that these are children who have lives, homes, jobs. They can't, and also to put it in perspective, somebody's going to make the argument, well, they're just going to usurp off society. Well, no, they can't, because as long as they're registered in DACA, they cannot also register in any social program. So basically, they can put in with their tax dollars. They cannot take out from our tax dollars.
And to actually add to it, in order to register, you can't be a felon.
Yeah, exactly. You can't have a criminal record. You cannot have a criminal record.
We're talking about a group of people who
citizens.
are productive. They work. They're law abiding in every sense of the word.
Exactly.
They, like you said, can't take from the government. They can only give, and it's exactly what you want from a citizen. And yet we're going to say
I'm
no
like,
to them.
look, anybody at this point, I'm all for immigration reform. At this point, whoever's in this country just isn't really going to leave. I mean, get rid of the criminals. I agree. If there are people per se that are,
the violent criminals.
I mean, if you're sitting here, keep driving without a license because you can't have one, exactly. So I mean, if you keep, let's just be reasonable when we're looking at it, but have some levels, and just allow them to keep putting into the government and not take out. Just put it, hey, you weren't here legally. You are not allowed to benefit in any social program.
And
of course, there's going to be
give them a path to citizenship, which most of them want.
Yeah.
I mean, the archaic nature of our path to citizenship is you have to apply outside of the country.
You have to go outside to come back.
To come back. And in some places you have to wait 10 years.
Yeah.
So you have to leave your home, your job, your family to go someplace you have no.
And let me tell you like this, y'all. If I had to go make a life somewhere for 10 years, I might just stay. And that's probably what they want them to do, And so, so with that said, we now have the Trump administration through, I want to say his blue-eyed devil, Jeff Sessions.
Jeffrey Beauregard Sessions.
Just when I saw that man, how short he is, how small in stature, he's just a little man, that chooses to wield power against anybody that is taller than him.
But also he's been given that power, speaking about Sessions, by Alabama voters for so long.
Yes.
It's ingrained into him.
Yeah.
And now he's Attorney General of the United States of America.
Which he should not be, but
but he is. And he's it's weird because a month ago he was on the outskirts with Trump. They were not friends. And then Trump starts losing, whatever, and now they're friends to get rid of DACA, which makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
I would say I agree with you. If he wants to be tough on immigration, if you're a violent criminal, you probably should not be in the country.
Yeah, exactly. I agree.
You'd be hard pressed to find somebody.
Our jails are full enough.
Let sexual assault perpetrators stay in the country.
Like
we can all kind of agree that maybe they should leave.
Yeah.
But if you're working and you go to school,
you're working,
and you're
you have a house, you have children,
you pay
you're trying
taxes,
to build a life.
I don't see why you can't stay.
I don't see, and like I said, he's picking on the person that has no basically dog in any of this immigration fight at all.
On the flip side, we talked about this before. A lot of the perceived people who will be affected by this are people who probably voted for Trump.
Oh, let me tell you the small little guys. I'm really not heartless, but I kind of am. Yeah. The small bit of joy that I read every time that somebody that voted for Trump's family member gets deported, I just sit there and I look at it. And I just, say, well, that's exactly what you wanted. Just because it personally affected you is not any less of what you wanted.
Yes.
And so it's kind of like I'm gonna be hard pressed to find any part of a heartfelt anything, but you know what? Hate the player, not the game.
Hey, when you ask for an ass whipping and you get one, I can't get mad. I can't get mad at you for that. Like you asked for that. You knew the man. And the thing about Trump is he played politics cool. Yeah. He told you what he was gonna do. Mm-hmm. Like he didn't hide behind the ball. Exactly. He said exactly, I'm gonna do this. Vote for me, and this will happen.
Exactly.
And they voted for him, and this happened, and then they're shocked and shook that it actually happened. And I don't get that logic.
It's it's the logic of the people
it's really
the logic of trying to pit people against each other and it backfiring. It's the logic of creating the other and it's backfiring because you're the other. Because you fall into the other.
Which is weird. Why? I guess only, and I hate to be like this, but I feel like black people very much understand we're always the other.
Yes.
So we always seem to understand, like, hey, we get it. You're going to attack us. I'm cool with it. I know a fight's coming. I can't understand why other people don't feel that way. Why other racial minorities don't understand that, hey, you are also with us.
Well, and I think the part of it is, and I think in any black person out there can correct me, part of it is that we are the marginalized group amongst all groups.
Correct.
And so so when you think about it, if you are the marginalized group amongst all groups, regardless of where you go in the world,
absolutely,
it's kind of like to be black is to be black. Right. Like you can't. There is no.
And at least I'm not black.
Yeah, there's no
maybe
nuancing.
Middle Eastern, but I'm not black.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. There's no nuancing blackness wherever you go. Like I can't sit here and be like, but I'm a good black. No, you black.
No,
black. Exactly. And so it's kind of like
got a college degree. Yes.
Yeah. So, but you still black.
Yeah, you still black.
And so for me, some days I sit there and I think, if I was a blonde white woman, these people would not give me as hard a time as they do some days. No. But
and if you were a blonde white man, you'd actually be given things
freely.
You would just be like, come right
I should not say that. That's a gross generalization. That is the truth. So, but either way, this is not how you make America great. No. And unfortunately, we see time and time again, like we keep throwing Trump the ball and he's fumbling every single time.
Oh, no. I don't think we're throwing him the ball. I mean, he was thrown the ball by those who voted for him, and he's doing their thing. I really feel like for a country built on immigration, built on that, we are obviously not embracing anything about what it means to be America right now.
And that is
completely anti-American in what's going on.
That is completely true. But what is very American... What is very American,
please tell me,
are everybody's relief efforts for, as you know, this show is actually filmed here in Houston, Texas, in the heart of what happened was it a week ago?
About a week ago.
About a week ago. See, like everybody in Houston lost a sense of time. Let me just tell you that. Like everybody lost, like at some point days started running together for us. And we'd be like, oh, is it Tuesday? No, it's Saturday. So about a week ago, we had, of course, so we just want to let you guys know that if you want to support the relief effort, you can on September 16th go to the Black Houston Relief Funds, where they will be giving away clothes and power tools, mattresses, and more at 2650 FM 1960 77073 at Queen Mattress and More is going to have the relief at 2650 FM 1960 77073. Also at HCC at 630 West Little York at 77091, Emancipation Park 308, Emancipation Ave 77004, HCC, again another location, 1600 Texas Parkway, Missouri City, 77489. You can also go to www.gofundme.com/Black Houston Relief, and it's organized by the Elevation Allah of Visit Black Houston. And again, remember, all of the donations, everything that you're giving are helping those who have been impacted by Hurricane Harvey in some way. This is huge for us in Houston. Every Houstonian that I've spoken to, every Houstonian that I've interacted with has all said, we've never encountered anything like this in all our years living here. And we're just trying to get back, and start the rebuilding process. And for those who have lost everything, if you could give what you can, we are so gracious if you would donate. Go out and support. Remember, September 16th at the locations. If you need more, you can go to www.thesphere.tv, or you can find us on Twitter and Instagram at thesphere.tv, on the Sphere TV, and you can find all this information about how to support.
That's right. And I just want to add two things to that. One, everybody say a prayer for those in Florida.
Yes.
Because it looks
Irma's
like
coming.
Hurricane Irma is going to be massive.
My goodness.
A tropical 5 that's going to hit there. And I think that's going to be very taxing on them. So let's just keep them in their prayers.
It's one thing after the next.
Right. And then there's another one behind Irma. There's Jose.
Yeah.
And then there's one on the Mexican coast. I forget that one. So we have 3 hurricanes right now converging. But one is about to hit Florida, and it looks very dangerous. So let's say a prayer for them.
Exactly.
And next, I want to kind of bring it back to what we were talking about. What is very American going on?
What
is what's going on in Houston?
What's going on in
Just
Houston?
the sheer number of people volunteering,
love,
and the love, the support, the people, the outpouring, the Black
sympathy,
Houston Relief Fund, all that. Just everybody coming together, and no matter race, color, or creed.
It's about people in need, because at the end of the day,
American.
regardless of what we talk about on this show, what we say, regardless of what we posit, our humanity is what speaks first to each and every person. Our humanity should be what we communicate, the language that we communicate to each other with.
Absolutely.
It's just that we are humans trying to live our best life, regardless of your skin color, your religion, your race, your sexual preference, whatever it is. You are just wanting your piece of the pie for your little white picket fence with your dog in your house. And if you don't want a white picket fence, your loft or whatever it is.
Or whatever. You just want to live.
You just want to live. You just want to enjoy whatever this life is and it means to you. So we just want to thank all Houstonians also for coming out and just giving. But as everybody has said, the relief efforts, just because the storm has stopped does not mean it has passed.
No.
So it's a lot of people are still rebuilding and recovering, and that's really important that we take care of that.
Especially those who are actually hit by the hurricane.
Exactly.
Down in Rockport and those areas. So keep up being American in Houston. Cajun Navy, all you good guys, keep that going, because that's what it really means to be American right now.
Yes.
And that's where we should be focused on.
And let's focus on something else.
All
is we're going to stay in Texas, and we're going to talk about the fact that the Fifth Circuit has allowed Texas prosecutors to use the revised voter ID laws. So what does that mean for us in the 2017 vote? It means that for Senate Bill 5, I get on my little soapbox, my voting soapbox a lot, and I like to tell people voting is important. They don't want to steal something that's not important. They don't want to take something from you that's not important. People are like, whatever, and I mean, if anything, our president should be the main signal to anybody that voting is
vote.
I
Vote.
think if this isn't a wake-up call, then it's I don't know what it's gonna be to you. But what Texas tried to basically institute a bill which said that, look, if you don't have one of the 7 forms of ID, you can use something like an alternative ID, something like a utility bill or a bank statement to register for voting. And they ran up to some opposition, of course.
Right.
But the Fifth Circuit said, no. You can go ahead and do it.
Which is important, because you have to use a utility bill to register your child for school.
You do.
You do. I've put 2 kids in school, and they will not take your child in that school unless you produce a utility bill saying you live in that district. So it's weird to me that in order to further my child's education, I have to produce a utility bill. But to go vote traditionally has been either a license or a CHL, which is concealed handgun license, and that's it. When they wouldn't take your school ID, or they wouldn't take your other state ID or military ID, they wouldn't take that either. Utility bill, and that to me was very unusually weird and obviously selective.
And so they're allowing these people to do. And what's so important is that you have to remember that sometimes a lot of these voter ID laws disproportionately affect minorities and the poor.
Absolutely.
And so they may not have the time. They may not. I mean, they may. If you're poor, you may not have a car. You may not even. So if you don't have a car, what do you not have? A driver's license.
Nope.
If you don't have a driver's license, you have no need to really go get a state ID.
I mean, if you're over the age of 21 and people can tell, you don't need a Texas ID.
Yeah, exactly.
If I can look at you and tell this guy's 30, then I don't need an ID.
And for and most of the times, the jobs or the vocations or whatever else it is that they do, you don't need a whole bunch of stuff. You just need to be able to fill out your paperwork with a social security number, which many people know. In order to pay your taxes, because that's all they want.
Yep.
So with this thought that we now it's basically meant to combat that, where the minorities and the poor who don't have access to these things or don't have them typically can now say, hey, look, here's my utility bill, here's my bank statement. Because guess what, if you have a bank statement, that's 9 times out of 10 you. Like, I mean, I've never seen people. I mean, they're crazy people.
There are crazy people. There are people who steal your ID, but they don't walk around
with a
bank statement.
Exactly.
They keep that in their room and do stuff with it, and then do
exactly.
something else.
And just to let you know, these people do have to sign this. The alternative form under penalty of perjury, which means that if you're lying about who you are, you could go to jail.
That's a felony offense, actually. It's not just a misdemeanor. It's a felony offense, which people take seriously.
Yeah.
If you're going to go vote and go through the household doing all this kind of stuff, then you're going to be serious about it.
Yeah.
And I think that's important. I also think when it comes to voting, we learned in school the hurdles put towards black people to vote.
I mean,
like how many bubbles in a bar of soap, that kind of crap.
I mean,
just weird kind of questions they put in front of us, and we look back.
How many circles in the square, and there's only one triangle on the paper? You know,
and we look at that and we look at it and we say, how could that be? Why would anybody fall for that? And I think if one day we will look back on today and say the same thing about the voter ID laws, like how could people at the time be so rude and mean? And how could the people, the black people, not stand up and fight that?
I don't even think
crazy
it's being rude and mean. It's more so that there's a status quo that wants to be maintained, period, point blank. And so with that status quo means that you cannot have an underserved population or a population that you don't want to have any power with the ability to vote, which can place people that look like them in power and who are taking care of their needs and their concerns, which would be their constituents, right? So, I mean, at the end of the day, when we think about things like our governors and our congresspersons and our senators that go into Congress and even local, state, whatever,
it's all important.
That it's all applicable, because at the end of the day, even on the state level, that's where voting is the most important, because that's where it affects you the greatest. Everything that is not delegated to the federal government under the 10th Amendment is left to the states. Those are called the police powers. And what that means is that they can police their citizens as they see fit. And so why we get a lot of these voting cases in certain states is because elections are one of those powers that are left to the states to determine how they run and how they handle elections. And so what's real important is that we need to make sure that we are voting, we are registering to vote. And with this win for everybody, not for us, but for all American citizens, this is a win for every every citizen of the state of Texas. If I want to
actually, I think it's America, because the states sometimes follow each other.
Exactly.
And they see what's going on. I think it is a win for all of us, and more for our progeny in the future.
Exactly.
As well.
So
our children can benefit from this.
We definitely need to make sure that we are continuing with what we need to, and what we will do is continue to see you next week Facebook Live, because we have to let you go. You can reach us on Twitter, Instagram, Stitcher, SoundCloud, YouTube, Apple, these are all these programs that I don't use.
4chan,
and
Reddit,
just like all of these social. I am not the social media queen,
Reddit,
guys.
you can put a Reddit thread. We will comply.
I think social media is low key the devil. But don't, just for me to be on. Yeah, I know.
We're on a social media platform.
But hey, stop.
2 of them.
Stop. I'm allowed to have my opinion on this show.
Oh, absolutely. I can't take it from you, but I can challenge it.
But even still, no. But seriously, we want to thank you again for tuning in with us, and we will catch you next week. And there we go. iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, Stitcher. Find us on injustice.thesphere.tv or thesphere.tv. Find us on Facebook. Find us on Instagram. Look for your shows. Look to see the content because it's always fresh and new, and we'll catch you next week.
On all those devil platforms.
Stop.
So,
yes.
Last thing about voting, I've told a lot of people this: voting is the great equalizer. It's the only thing that rich or poor, black or white.
You know what I also call the great equalizer? Thing. The bar exam.
No, that was the devil. No. Social media being the devil. No, the bar exam was pure hell.
People are like, you went to this law. If you could pass that bar coming out of anywhere.
I'm a lawyer.
Yeah, exactly.
But
like
that was the devil.
That is the great equalizer.
That's the only test where you don't want to have the highest score. You just want to have the passing score.
You just want to pass.
Like, nobody cares if you got the highest exam on the bar exam.
Yeah.
That means you study too hard. As long as you have the passing score, man, that's all that matters. I'm a lawyer.
So, but as you're saying, that voting is a great equalizer.
It's the greatest. It's the only equalizer across the country. And that and a bullet.
Oh, that's so true. But let's not use any on anybody, and let's just move to the next subject.
You can shoot,
nah. Okay.
Bullets are necessary.
Yes, absolutely. They're a necessary evil. Yes.
It's necessary good.
And evil, too.
Good.
Okay. So I'm not taking away anybody's Second Amendment right. Yeah, don't say that about
because we have bullets.
Because I believe anybody should have a gun if they so choose.
That's right. I mean, you have a gun right now.
I do not.
Oh.
No. Not yet.
You don't have one gun?
I do not have a gun, but I am getting one.
You need to get a gun.
Yes.
Everybody, Alicia has no gun. She's unprotected.
Whoa. Do we see how this is not cool today? Like, we could...
But she's with me right now, and I've got several guns.
Thanks.
And I actually want to shoot somebody, so it's okay.
Unfortunately, that was recorded. So, okay. You the lawyer, so you do what you do with your statements. We're both lawyers on this. All good. I mean, you do what you do with your statements. I'm going to do what I do with mine. All right, but let's go.
I got your back, though.
Thank you.
You know that. I got bullets.
But let's talk about... We're going to stay in Texas with our bullets and with our guns. And so we're going to talk again about... As we know, we're still talking about Hurricane Harvey. Mm-hmm. Apparently... FEMA has denied 3 churches disaster relief aid. And the churches brought suit because they're just like, look, in the middle of a disaster, we are some of the places that house first responders, that house people that are in need, that look after, that take care of others. And basically, they said that this discrimination is particularly irrational in the disaster relief context, since churches and other houses of worship are often among the first place that people go to. And one of the plaintiffs said that they were serving as a staging center for Hurricane Harvey relief. Why can't we get some of these disaster relief funds? Like, this is not... That
surprised me because I would think like churches like Lakewood would get a lot of FEMA relief because they have a lot of people staying there.
But FEMA grants are allowed for nonprofits that do provide critical services that, but let's talk about these eligible facilities like museums and zoos and libraries. Yes. And community centers, homeless shelters.
Okay, community centers.
Yeah, but what? So I mean, those are good ones. But when we're talking about the museums, the zoos, and the libraries, I mean, even a library can provide.
A library is the zoos and the museum that you have. I'm with you on that one.
If the Houston Zoo were to sit here and say we're the base of Hurricane Harvey relief, it would seem a little odd to everyone.
But I can understand the government's position in that hey, there's a separation of church and state, and if we give money to one church, we have to give money to other churches, and it gets kind of sticky. So we'll say no to no churches.
So basically, they're just saying that if you're a house of worship, the FEMA's response is just don't come asking us for any money.
That's a safe response from the government.
But and for me, that's slightly problematic. only in the context of disaster relief.
Correct.
And for me, it's just like, hey, if you just want to ask for general funding from the government, you're not going to get it. We need to have that.
It's kind of, but the thing is though, if you have a separation of church and state, then it exists. Period. Because
but
if you start doing
separation,
carve-outs,
but I
it
mean,
won't
so
work.
at the end of the day, I would rather us make a carve out for a disaster response to say like, no, we would love to give you this money to save some more lives, but we can't because there's a separation of church and state, and that is way more important than the human life.
It's a bright line test that sucks in disaster relief context,
yes.
But in other realities it's fine. And the thing is,
but we're not talking about other realities. We're talking about Hurricane Harvey.
It's a slippery slope. If you start making carve outs for government funds for churches,
no.
All right, so we're going to carve out for disaster relief.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, now what if I expand disaster relief to save lives?
No.
We're not saying the homeless.
Okay. So you're sitting here having this argument with me like they cannot specifically delineate exactly what the protocol should be and bright line what disaster relief entails. If you are providing facilities to government agencies in your place of worship, then you should get the money because you are in essence acting as an agent in assisting the government.
I'm not saying that can be definitely done. You can do carve outs for sure. What I'm saying is, where do you stop doing carve outs?
Right there.
Yeah, but nobody does that. If you give a mouse a cookie that asks for a glass of milk,
I'm done right
you give
there.
a mouse an inch
I'm
that
done
asks
right
for a
there.
foot. I mean,
Okay,
that's just how it is.
Okay, that's great.
The government has never once done a single carve out,
and that's fine.
They've never done one carve out.
No.
So I'm just telling you, I understand the government's logic on this.
I don't understand their logic on this one because that's silly.
It's a separation of church and state.
No, I get what it is, Damon.
So then one way around it would be for the church to form a nonprofit within the church and get the money that way.
I guess.
I mean,
that's a lot of red tape for it to already be a nonprofit.
For already be one.
I mean, what are you doing? So we got to get a nonprofit for a nonprofit.
A 501c3 is pretty easy.
I mean, but still,
I can form one right now with you in 24 hours.
Okay, you know what? Great. So then, all you churches, take the extra time to form a nonprofit that you still have to justify its existence anyway and file these tax returns every year just in case of another once in a lifetime storm.
Except for it happens we've had a flood event in Houston 1 year.
No. I'm not talking.
It's going to happen more.
No, we have not had a flood where we've had to create shelters like that in a long time.
This has been the worst, but we've had major flood events once a year for the past 2 years.
But they haven't displaced people to the point where you have had to.
Of course. So we don't know what happened next year. And then and look at this.
So then what happens next year? You let the church get the money for that flood.
Hurricane Harvey is big, and then we said, Irma is going to be a tropical 5, the biggest now. So Harvey's been topped by Irma in less than 2 weeks. I'm saying, I understand the government's position about having a bright line test.
I'm saying we can agree to disagree.
You can just form a 501c3. There are plenty of people who can help you out with that, and then boom, you can get the FEMA funds, and it works.
I am on the other side of the coin.
That's usually the case with us.
Who believes that there's not a problem with them putting another paragraph in a book, or maybe like 5 pages. Or 10.
Here we go.
Yeah, because
so 10 becomes 20, and then it becomes 30.
Because the carve out is really going to be like 30 pages long.
The carve out will be huge, and it'll be full of exceptions.
Exactly.
And weird things to do.
Exactly.
So it's easier to say no.
That's fine.
It's easier to say no. It's easier to say no. Because you have to justify, are you a church?
No.
And then you have to quantify what kind of relief are you providing, and is it like, I don't know. I understand it and I sympathize with them. And having done water rescues this past
there
relief,
is nothing to say that
we definitely
that
use churches
you can't
for
take a church and say, hey,
you
know what? If you are looking for FEMA relief, you need to call in, send in your paperwork, get it, let us see all of that. You will only get X amount of funds. It has to be through a natural disaster where your facility is needed because it is used by first responders, by people saving lives. And then that's what we're talking about.
I mean,
I'm not. You know what? You are going to let people drown, and I'm not.
Okay, I was doing water rescues. I hear you, and I believe that churches should get it. I'm saying I understand.
I'm indignant. So, with my indignancy, I will continue.
Can I quote you later?
What?
Can I say you're indignant later?
I can assert my own indignance.
Miss Ford, you're being indignant right now. Admittedly indignant. Miss Ford. Can I say that?
No.
No.
Okay,
but I will.
I'm being indignant. So, with that said, what I'm not going to be indignant about is talking about our Hurricane Harvey relief. And so, just to let you know, continuing the effort, the Sphere TV is really dedicated to making sure we get the word out for everyone to know how they can donate help, continue to volunteer about giving hurricane relief help. So, Mitchell Elementary in the Gulf Meadows subdivision has suffered major damage and everything may need to be replaced. The teachers have been proactive by setting up projects on donorschoose.org. Please donate their classroom so that students will have the necessary supplies. Here's how you can help. Go to www.donorschoose.org. In the search boxes, type Mitchell Elementary with the zip code of 77075. Donate one, several, or all listed projects and share the post. Please remember that not only are the families and grown adults like myself and Damon affected by this, but children are affected by this. Kids aren't going to school for another week. I felt a whole something turn in my spirit for all those parents who have to go back to work and figure out what to do with all these kids that are off for another week that they did not anticipate for.
It's interesting.
So, I mean, like, literally, I was like, y'all parents need to figure this out.
It's interesting.
And so we have to remember that schools, again, are closed for one more week here. And places like Mitchell Elementary, which have been basically torn apart by Hurricane Harvey, the kids are coming. If kids have lost everything, they are coming to school with nothing. And so we need people to donate school supplies, whatever you can. Remember the Mitchell Elementary Gulf Meadow Subdivision, donorschoose.org. You type in Mitchell Elementary in the search bar, 77075 as the zip code, and give, because we want the children to take care of us when we are old.
And not to mention, if the kids are like my kids, they have utterly missed school.
Yeah.
My girls have missed being in school. They've wanted to go back, and they keep asking us, is tomorrow we're going to school, or tomorrow we're going to school, and they're just in kindergarten.
Yeah.
And I thankfully their school wasn't damaged, but I think it would be very tragic to have you suffer a tragedy at your home and then be reminded when you go to school and see further flood damage and missing supplies and that kind of stuff. So any effort we can do for the children, I mean, there's no bright line test on that. It just is. So let's do it. Let's get out there and support them. And let's I'm with that.
Just basically, it's just a tough spot that we've been in. That for the most part here in Texas, I feel like, can we get a break? Can we a break, 10 breaks, a Kit Kat bar, anything?
And we can't even say we're being punished by our current president because Houston didn't vote. I mean, Houston voted against Trump.
Yeah.
I always bring it back to Trump. Houston voted against Trump, and yet we're still getting punished. I don't get it. That being said, guys, continue doing what you're doing. Help out your community. Help out the children, the elderly, the adults, the seniors, everybody who needs it. If you can help in any way, help is help.
So, helping is helping, and we're going to go back to the Supreme Court's. Republicans are urging the Supreme Courts to end gerrymandering.
That doesn't sound like something Republicans would
That
urge.
doesn't even sound Republican at all.
Well, first, before we do that, tell us, what is gerrymandering?
So gerrymandering is drawing of the congressional districts in which you vote. And so the best way to think about it is, I like to let people think of a square box.
Absolutely.
And that could be your town. And basically, if you draw a line down the middle and a line across horizontally and vertically, those would be basically delineating 1, 2, 3, 4 as your voting congressional district.
So like a grid.
The grid is basically what they are forming to say, these people vote for one representative from that district to represent them. These people, lower left votes for one person and they get it. What happens is, depending on how the population is dispersed within your little grid, people want to draw certain lines to make sure that majorities elect certain types of people with certain ideological and political beliefs.
So you try to put people who are maybe, let's say, rich and we're wanting more Republican person to have the largest voting
for
power.
example, if we still have our big grid, we might, for example, instead of doing an even 4 representative square, we might decide to do it where we say, hey, and let's just say for the most part, the rich people live in the top half, kind of going to the bottom. They would probably try to draw 3 congressional districts in that top half and leave the one for the lower income people and just have one representation, which is generally not what it is. They just want to make sure that the power is in that the where the wealth is and those people with their ideological values are.
So from the outside, what it would look like is a city would have, let's say, 4 congressional leaders, and they would say Houston has 4 congressional leaders to speak for the population of Houston,
and it does not.
And it really doesn't, because
it would be like the 4 congressional leaders speaking for 3 congressional leaders speaking for all of River Oaks and Memorial,
right? And then
one for the
for
rest of
everybody else.
Yeah, one for everybody else, and
Right.
so
which is another example, in historically, of how they've used voting
exactly
against people. This is you said earlier. If they didn't try, it wouldn't be valuable if they didn't try to steal it from you, or something like that effect. And it was very, very, very poetic. Gerrymandering has a lot of different names to it, but that's another way of just basically stealing your vote, and robbing you of your voting power. And that's really what it comes down to. So what the Supreme Court say, or what so historically also that's been used by Republicans a lot, gerrymandering to help their vote. So why would Republicans now try to stop gerrymandering?
So basically they're trying to say that, look, these congressional district drawing lines, ridiculous. What we're doing is right. Like, you need to stop hearing these cases because what we're doing is correct.
So they're not trying to stop gerrymandering.
No, they're literally trying to just
policing
stop gerrymandering.
Okay,
exactly. So
Wow.
it's kind of like, hey, when you think, because when I read it, I was like, Republicans trying to stop gerrymandering is an oxymoron.
Unless Republicans are becoming true to form and not representative of what people think Republicans are. I think most Republicans are actually good people, and they are not what people think they are, which are just evil people running around trying to steal your money. So that appeared to be the case, but that's not the case.
So basically, they're trying to stop the thought of allowing all these cases to basically challenge the districts that are drawn. They want them to stop hearing, because when you think about it, how do these cases, because you're challenging a voting district, you're challenging the way that they're drawing the map, and they want them to stop listening to those cases.
But how?
I don't know.
What's their legal?
It's an amicus brief. It is not. So it's more. Oh, and for yeah. So I'm like, because that's what you both. Yeah.
So now tell us, what is an amicus brief?
So an amicus brief is so when people file a court case, for example, if Damon and I were litigants in a lawsuit,
right,
and
bullets.
I'm the petitioner and he is the respondent, plaintiff and defendant, petitioner, respondent, whatever. And so somebody can say, you know what, I agree with what Alicia is asserting. I'm going to go ahead and write a whole brief supporting what she believes and her contentions are and submit it in the court as evidence. Just taking it.
A third party brief.
A third party brief. Basically, it's like you don't have a dog in a fight in this particular fight, but you have a dog in the outcome.
Absolutely.
And so that's basically you're basically writing a paper as a friend of the court saying, hey, you might want to look at this. And when he was like, well, how do you stop that? It was an amicus brief, so it wasn't an actual. So when we both are just like, oh, okay. I mean, it's like writing a white paper.
And it's okay. We keep having the explanations.
Oh, okay.
So, but it's actually fairly common in Supreme Court cases for both sides to have amicus briefs. So that's not uncommon.
Yeah.
That's a tool that everybody uses. Yeah. Even as far down on the state side.
Yeah, they do write amicus briefs
for each other, so that's not uncommon.
Yeah.
I'm still curious as to, an amicus brief has to still contain law and make sense.
Yeah.
If you're going to break the Supreme Court of the United States, you're going to put forth your best words on your best piece of paper.
But
really
we think that the thing that they generally put is that these are right. Like, who are you to police us in delineating our districts, because it's been left to us by the 10th Amendment, right?
I want to know who wrote that.
Because it's basically, if you leave elections to us, let us elect. That's really what they're saying. Let us elect.
So now I'm curious who wrote this brief.
It was, of course, supported by John McCain and other friends.
Senator McCain is...
I feel like he's doing a turnaround.
Senator McCain is so he's always been the maverick. Like, if you've known McCain, he's always... And I want to say something positive about him. I've actually liked McCain for years. During his election against Obama, people would come out and say these atrocious things about him. Oh, Obama's a Muslim and a terrorist. And McCain would actually stand up and say, we're not going to say that here. Like, I'm not going to support that or have that with you. McCain is a Republican, but he's always been, in my opinion, a reasonable person. He was never Republican first to what we're seeing with MAGA and Trump and that kind of stuff. He's just been a Republican, and he's reasonable.
Well, I think, unfortunately, what the problem has been in this kind of climate that we're in, that being a Republican has become synonymous with something ugly.
Correct.
And let me just be honest. Being a Republican is generally just about small government and fiscal conservation. That's really what the basis. And let me just be real, some family values thrown in there, in there real heavy.
That's not Republican so much as being a conservative.
Yeah, and so, but you're right. So generally, it's a Republican deals with, we don't want a big government, and we want fiscal responsibility with what we have. We don't want to spend more, because we keep hearing, whoa, they're trying to raise the debts and we can't do this. They got pissed at Trump for making a deal with the Democrats just a second ago for the aid for Harvey. But because they were like, okay, we gonna give you 3 months to raise the debt ceiling if you give us some money. And he was like, okay, cool.
And he did it.
And he's the deal maker. Oh, yeah. He's the Democrat whisperer. So
I don't think anybody's ever said that about Trump or ever will. First of all, he is not a whisperer.
He's the Democrat whisperer. So he got them to do so. But either way, I think a lot of it is just some nasty connotations. Coming, when we hear, "Oh, you're Republican,"
you get dirty looks.
Yeah, you do get dirty looks because in essence, all you're trying to do is say, "Government, stay out my business," or you're too bureaucratic and too large that you are usurping too much into our everyday lives. And back, give me 50 feet.
Right,
let me
be.
Yeah, just literally
leave me the hell alone.
Let me do what I'm gonna do,
right?
And it's perfect.
And that's exactly what it means to be a Republican.
And so generally, it's the thought that we come into this with these. Now it's been tied to conservatism, especially religious.
Yes.
Because I think there's a difference between a conservative and a religious conservative.
Absolutely.
And so they've just pulled all conservatives into Republicanism, and even religious, just against birth and women's rights and birth control, poverty, social welfare, social programs, all of those have been pulled in. And we need to really look at the fact that being a Republican is not all bad, but I think that at this point it has turned and morphed into something that I don't know if it truly was meant to be in the first place.
And I think the same is true for being a Democrat.
Yeah.
People look at Democrats as like baby killers. And
I think what we need to do is look at that, because it's so funny, because you can actually say that now. I read something and I thought, now this is an interesting distinction. They said, and this is how true it is, they said liberals and Democrats and Republicans. And I was like, that is very interesting.
Liberals
and Democrats and Republicans. So there weren't even conservatives. They'd already, lumped in all the conservatives with Republicans, and they said liberals and Democrats. And I thought, well, that's an interesting distinction.
That's
because not all Democrats are liberals per se,
because the main difference is with Democrats is they kind of want a larger government.
Exactly. And they believe in a lot more social welfare, greater good, for the greatest number.
They want more government intervention.
That's Thomas Hobbes kind of stuff. So when we think about it, they have more utilitarian principles.
Correct.
And so, which is, as we know, the greatest good for the greatest number.
Esoteric this episode.
I know. Yeah, just so.
I know Brendan's pissed off right now about having like the esoteric conversation, and he's not here.
Yeah, because we wouldn't have one if he was here.
We
so this is, does that speak to your absence? It does. So either way, but we need to now think. So there's nothing in essence bad about it. I just think that it's changed, and we need to really. Because if you want to be about fiscal conservation, be about it.
Right,
if you want to save your pennies and keep that government small, you have that right. If you want to believe in social welfare and arts and all, do what you do. But I think that what happens is that we've lumped too much in together, and it's kind of looked into this nasty. Both of them are nasty, ugly monsters.
Both of them are really nasty, and they're gross, and they bring into things that don't really belong in the party.
Absolutely.
And when you start bringing religion into politics, it is never.
Which is why we have no separation. I don't understand how we making decisions about bodies based on religious principles when there's a separation of church and state.
And I'm gonna post that also.
I don't. What did I keep telling y'all? These men need to get off of my uterus. Y'all have uterine envy. And I will.
It's not so much we have uterine envy.
I don't care
We
what
just
y'all
enjoy
are
being in
mad that
InJustice.
you are not the purveyors of
Nope,
life.
nope.
Yes.
Yeah. Having seen my wife give birth
I'm
twice,
sorry.
I am so thankful
no,
for her
no,
doing
no,
so,
no,
but I
because
do
you know
not
why?
want to give
Because
birth.
you subjugate us because we have the
I don't
ultimate
subjugate.
power.
No, you have the
No,
ultimate power?
Yes, you subjugate
Oh my
women
gosh.
because we have the ultimate power.
Your ultimate
which
power wouldn't
is,
exist without a man.
I mean, what else?
It wouldn't be-
Are we
your
carrying
power
it?
literally
Are we
wouldn't exist
carrying
without
it
me.
in your urethra or our womb?
You need me for your
Whatever.
ultimate power, so it can't be that
So,
ultimate if you
what-
need my intervention.
Okay,
You-
this is obviously
So,
going to start a
hey,
whole nother
woman's
argument
ultimate
that's not going to
power
end
is
on this show
wholly
today.
dependent upon a man, and that's how it's supposed to be. And that's just the way it is.
You know what? The way that the Lord is set up in my life right now, I am going to go ahead and move to making sure that you have the ability to donate and know about one more relief effort for Hurricane Harvey. And that is letting you know that the Church Without Walls is accepting donations at 5725 Queens Boulevard in Houston, Texas at 77084. And they are accepting them Monday through Friday and Saturday. If you go Monday through Friday, you can donate between 8 and 5 p.m. If you go on Saturday, you can donate between 8 a.m. and 12 p.m. They are accepting baby food, baby wipes, diapers, coloring books, crayons, non-perishable food, water, cleaning supplies, new towels, toilet paper, paper towels, heavy duty trash bags, school supplies, deodorant, soap, face wash, shampoo, feminine products, lotions, durable plastic totes, underwear, new socks, new t-shirts, adult diapers.
So you were stressing that new, but let me tell you, I volunteered at the George R. Brown last week as well, and one day I volunteered. I was there sifting clothes. We definitely have to throw away used underwear.
Yes.
And we would definitely see people donate, and we'd have shorts, t-shirts, and here's some drawers. And it's like, what in the hell? Who would donate
Okay,
some
let me
drawers? I don't get that.
And let me just get through this, please.
Please do.
Yes, but
I just want to focus new stuff.
Those specific items need to be new.
In
That
a
is
bag
about
with a tag on it.
About personal hygiene.
Yes.
Okay, so with that said, and adult diapers,
Yes.
if you bring those used, then you just an animal. So Ralph Douglas West is the pastor and founder, and you give online at thechurchwithoutwalls.org, hashtag TCWW cares and hashtag we serve. So remember, we are still accepting donations, and just everybody look,
Yes.
Those are 3 options that we've given you here this today in the show, and you can definitely go back to thesphere.tv and look around for more. And otherwise, what you can do with us today is tune in next time, because unfortunately our time has come to an end. I enjoyed having Mr. Parrish here with me this week.
Ms. Ford, it was a pleasure as always.
Thank you so much.
As always.
Thank you.
I've enjoyed it.
Yeah, so we're definitely here. And again, you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google Play, iTunes, thesphere.tv, www.thesphere.tv. You can find us on Facebook, and then you can find me, your host, Alicia Ford, at Allie on Sphere, Twitter and Instagram. And Damon, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter as well at Lawyer Parrish. Is right there for you. Send me a tweet, whatever. Guys, continue to give, continue to support fellow Houstonians, and really anybody impacted by this hurricane and what probably will be in Florida as well.
Yes, definitely. And we will see you again next week. Thank you for tuning in.
Have a good one.